Hi everyone, wherever you are. My name is Emmy. For everyone who is tuning in for the first time, I do these weekly videos for a few reasons. One reason is to share whatever I'm learning, whatever I have learned, because in giving, I receive. And another reason I do this is to improve my speaking skills. So in this broadcast, we'll talk about fear of failure. So I have failed in some areas of my life. Some of them have failed more miserably than others, and the ones that I have failed more miserably, I have been afraid to attempt again because of the messages that I tell myself when I have failed. So whenever I felt shame or feeling of embarrassment, incompetence, it took me a while to attempt again. And in sharing this video, I hope you won't take a lot of time in wallowing in pain, because it doesn't really help. You have to get up and go and attempt again. It doesn't help. You're just gonna waste your time and energy and your emotions thinking about a past that you cannot change. So I hope by the end of this conversation, you'll be encouraged to face your fears and attempt the things that you want to do. So I have a few questions I'd like to ask you. What does failure mean to you? What does it mean to you? And who defines failure for you? Do you define failure for yourself? Have you adopted the definition of failure of your family or for society? When have you failed by your own definition? And when have you failed by the definition of society? And what did you do? So we are all products of society, and we are also products of our families. I knew a girl in high school who would cry so much whenever she would get a B or anything less than A, because she was afraid when she went home with that kind of grade, she would get so much in trouble. So we can adopt messages from our families of what failure really entails. But in the end, as adults, we have to decide for ourselves what failure really, really means. So do you think people should avoid failure? Do you think so? And can we recover from failure? Do you think we can recover from failure? I think so. And how have you been failed by others, and how have you failed others? So in asking these questions, actually I hope I'm helping you explore the topic so that you can see yourself a little more broadly, how you handle the topic. So I'd like to talk about my failures, but I have a feeling we can find other more interesting people to talk about. So let's talk about some famous people, how they have handled failure. So let's start with Oprah Winfrey. I love Oprah. Oprah was fired from one of her first jobs as a reporter. So Oprah would report stories, and they told her that she was becoming part of the story because she would be so emotional about some of the reporting she would do. So she'd want to do something about it. So if she was reporting about people suffering or people in distress, she wanted to fix it. And therefore, they fired her. So when they fired her, she started a talk show. And she held that talk show for 25 years. And now Oprah owns a whole network, Oprah Winfrey Network. So you know how that went. So Oprah says this is how she looks at failure. She looks at failure as a message from God asking her to take a detour, take another way. Walt Disney for Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, he was fired from one of his jobs as an animator in Kansas City Star newspaper. So the editor fired him and told him that he lacked imagination and he had no good ideas. So when he was fired, eventually him and his brother, they went on and created Mickey Mouse and Disneyland. And the rest is history. So for him, failure meant keep on improving your craft, and failure meant not here, somewhere else. J.K. Rowling for Harry Potter. Before Harry Potter was published, she had been rejected 12 times. and she was rejected with feedback. Some of the feedback of the rejections were that she was female, and because she was female and she's writing for an audience of boys, boys are not going to receive her. So they were even advising her to conceal her first name so that boys cannot find out who she is. They also told her that she can never make money as an author, all those messages, but she didn't cave into the rejections. The rest is history. She's a billionaire because of that book. So let's look at Michael Jordan. Without looking at the details of Michael Jordan's career, this is what Michael Jordan says about failure. He says, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost 300 games. 26 times I have been entrusted to take the winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed." When you hear the name Michael Jordan, usually people are not talking about the 9,000 shots that he missed. They're not talking about the 300 games that he lost. They're not talking about the 26 times that he failed to shoot the winning shot, and that's really, that's important. So that's important. He says here he failed over and over again, and that's why he succeeded. So I like for us to start embracing or to look at failure in a different way and to accept it as part of life and to embrace it, because it's just accumulation of errors, and if we can correct those errors, we get better. So I like for us to look at failure and recreate ourselves. Use our failures to recreate ourselves. Use failure to propel ourselves to the next level. Use it as a detour, like Oprah said, to take another way. Use it to think of new possibilities for ourselves. Use failure to discover our abilities and our limits. If we don't do anything, if we don't go out there to find out what we are capable of, we'll never know. And if we don't find out what we are capable of, we're not going to find out what we are not capable of. And that's really the definition of success, knowing what you can and what you cannot. So, and if you live life so cautiously and securely, you will really never fulfill your dreams. Will never fulfill your dreams. I tell you what, when I first started doing these videos and I posted my first video, I was so afraid. I was so afraid that I will be judged by people. So the first night or the first evening I posted my video online, I went to bed. And then the next day, the people that mattered to me had written me messages to encourage me, to give me feedback. And my worst nightmare or my worst fear was not realized. So I woke up with a lot of vulnerability hangover, but the more I've done these videos, the less fear I have. So I don't know what you're afraid to do today. I don't know how many rejections you've had, but I'd like to encourage you to look at fear and interpret the messages of fear in a different way and give it a shot. Give your dreams a shot. Try again. And if you try again, you might discover so many things. So I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and may the good Lord bless you and have a very, very beautiful week. Thank you, guys.